and welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. And I'm going to be showing you some of the most amazing products that you will ever find. They are, besides being beautiful, they are kind of like an art form and a work form that when I look at them, and I'm going to show you some, I don't really understand how the whole thing comes together the way it does. With me is Michelle Nevaeh.
Yes.
Did I get it right?
Yep.
And that's the whole story right there. Okay. We can take 20 minutes and just talk about where you would think Nevaeh came from, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. All right, Michelle, how long are you doing this?
About 4 years.
Okay.
But I recently moved to Florida about 2.5 years ago and opened my business here about a year and a half ago.
Okay. Why'd you get into this?
I used to be an executive chef, classically trained at the Culinary Institute of America, and I loved the creative outlet of being a chef. And then when I had my daughter, I got into hotel and restaurant equipment supply sales, represented 30 companies from all around the world and brought their products to distributors in the United States. And I enjoyed it, got to travel all around the world and got to experience a lot of things, but I did miss that creative outlet. So I started tinkering around with drawing and then laser engraving, and little by little got into wood, and here I am.
Now, we're talking, and you may not understand exactly what we're talking about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have them put these pictures up behind us, because you really don't need to see us all the time. But if you look at some of this stuff, it is just utterly gorgeous. And that makes it that much special, because each piece is like a snowflake, right?
Yeah, everything is absolutely different. Everything's unique. There's no two. I liken it being an ex-chef to, if you hand out a recipe to 5 different people, you're going to get 5 different dishes.
Right.
No two are the same.
So he just posted the picture of this one here. I'm going to hold that up for a second. And if you look at this one here, it's, besides it being beautifully finished, the corks. And a lot of people look at it and say that it's a picture, but it's not a picture.
It's a charcuterie board.
Right, but those are real corks.
Yes, I had to drink all that wine.
And if you look, so you have this wood space up here, and then all the corks here, and they look like they're cut in half and put on some sort of, I don't know.
I put an epoxy base.
Okay.
And then you wait until it gets to be a little bit firm and sticky, and then I'll put the corks in it so that they kind of become one with the epoxy base.
Right.
And that they don't float up when you pour the rest of the epoxy.
Okay, so look, I have ADHD, so if I were to pour epoxy, it'd be on the table here, it would be here, okay. Do you have a thing that blocks it? Because it's not just epoxy, it's curved perfectly.
I use a router to go around the edges and kind of give it that little curve to it. But I have molds. I've invested in some reusable molds. This epoxy work has become popular in the last few years. And they used to just have one-use molds. You had to make a mold for each piece you did, which made it very labor-intensive and very expensive. And now they are making some silicone molds that I've purchased, and I can reuse them. So I've got set sizes that I can do, but if somebody wanted a custom piece, I can also make a custom mold.
Hold up that piece.
This is a driftwood piece I did, and found this piece in the...
Ooh, that's my favorite piece, and I just dropped it.
Found this piece in the Indian River.
So if you look at it, this isn't just a piece of driftwood that somebody would have ended up just ditching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and now it's a beautiful, beautiful piece. This is a piece that's usable.
Yep.
This is an art piece.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, you do so much different things. How do you decide? Like, okay, so you saw this and you said, I could do something with that. Is that how it came about?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes the epoxy is wonderful because you could take something that would be punky or basically unusable in a lot of other applications, and you can make something beautiful out of it.
I mean, I think it's gorgeous. I think that I'm colorblind, but I can see the difference in some colors. I'm actually shade blind.
Okay.
But How did you know that these colors would work on this piece of wood?
I guess that's just the creative outlet.
And
You know, I look at different pieces and it speaks to you as to what to do. You know, this piece is going to be a charcuterie board. This is going to be a cutting board. This is going to be a sculpture or a wall art piece.
And then I'm going to show you a table in a bit, but there's one piece that you have here that's kind of my favorite. So I'm going to have him put up some pictures, and then because I have to go on this where I dropped this piece and pick it up. So I'm going to put up some pictures. So these are some of the things that you do. That's one of the pieces that you have. But there are pieces that are just unbelievable, and this one, and I guess you can see a little bit there, is this piece here. And I'm going to hold this piece up. And I'm going to tip it down so the lights don't get in the way. This is like just an amazing board for an antipasto.
Yeah, I mean, it's a serving tray. I envision it poolside. I think it's perfect because it's not glass, so you don't have to worry about it breaking.
Right.
But if you're having a party poolside, you can do charcuterie and meats and cheeses or
It's too big a word. Try to use a smaller word.
Adult Lunchables.
That's right. That's what it is. Adult Lunchable. All right, so like I'm looking at these colors here. I'm going to hold it back up for 1 second. So if you look at the center, it's wood. And then this is not wood, this
That's
part.
all epoxy.
So did you like just take this piece of wood and put epoxy here and then kind of cut it down? Cut the shape?
I clean up the wood, I sand it, and then I coat it in epoxy because the wood's a living, breathing thing, and it will leach out air and create bubbles in the epoxy. So I coat the whole piece of wood with epoxy and put it in the mold and let it rest overnight. And then once that epoxy's cured, then I'll add the colored epoxy to it. And that's a long process that needs babysitting. You have to go back every so often and blow the bubbles out. I traipse off into my studio around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I add the swirls in because that takes about 12, 14 hours.
So you did this is not a piece that's finished in an hour.
No. It takes a good month or more between curing times and different stages.
So when I first saw this, I thought this is a great, and I don't know if I have the right words, but waterboard.
Yeah. A lot of people call it the surfboard.
Right. It's like this where you can run on the beach, and then at the edge is where the water is slow, and just hop on it and go. Is it totally waterproof?
You could probably, it's polyurethane in the back, but I mean, you're fine to wash it off. I wouldn't soak it in water.
It's beautiful. I dropped it twice.
And it's still ticking.
And it's still in great shape. Okay, so I'm guessing, where did you get this wood, or where do you get I'm looking at this piece of wood. This piece of wood has some beautiful, beautiful lines.
Yeah, there's right next door. We moved into a house in Western Vero. We had a vacation place on the island for 17 years before we moved down here permanently. And then we decided to move down here permanently. And next door, our neighbors are a bunch of cows. And the gentleman who owns the cows there owns about 160 head of cow all over Vero Beach in different farms and fields. And he has a cabin up in North Carolina. And he's got a wood mill up there. And he mills wood. And he brings wood down to me and about 2 other artists in Florida, one in Daytona, one in Melbourne, and myself in Vero. And he lives in Vero, so I can go over to his house and pick out wood. But this is from his stash of wood. This is walnut.
This is a great piece of wood because, like I said, it's got some amazing lines. And then within those lines, I know this wood doesn't come with this blue streak into it.
It had a little crack in it, and I opened it up and clean out all the soft debris, and then fill it with the epoxy as well. The cracks and the holes and the punky spots keep the wood from being able to be used with other things. But when you're working with epoxy, I seek out wood that has flaws in it because I think it makes it look like more character and beautiful.
It also kind of pulls the pieces together. It kind of pulls the pieces together because it's blue, and then this little strip of blue here. Even my colorblindness can see it. It's just a gorgeous piece. I'm she got me upset because her business cards are nicer than mine. Wait, what, do you do these?
I do them. I have the laser,
Do you?
and I do all the business cards myself.
Oh, wow. So you get the wood from the same guy?
No, I order that wood online. That's
Okay.
nice, thin, cardstock size.
It's very, very cool. Okay, I want to take a second. Oh, there was a picture of your business card. All right, so I got to take a question. I got to ask you this. Your last name?
Nevaeh.
Nevaeh. Well, I know what it is, but why?
I decided I wanted my own name. I had gotten divorced, and my daughter was of age at this point. She was an adult, and I decided I wanted my own name and to name my business after it. So it's kind of a new beginnings, and I said, what better than heaven? I'm moving to Florida, and I'm living where it makes me happy, out in the sun and the sand, and it's heaven to me. So I changed my last name to Nevaeh, which is heaven spelled backwards.
Okay, so did your daughter change her name?
No,
Okay.
she still has her.
Okay, I mean, it's kind of interesting because we were talking about my daughter wanting to change her name because she has a lisp. But I think that's such a cool thing because it was a new beginning for you.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
And everybody picks a new beginning a different way. So you changed your name. For me, my lifestyle changed. We go through life looking at the same thing constantly, especially when we're looking in relationships. We look for the same thing. My wife is totally different than anybody I've ever been with. Okay? Everybody who knows me knows I'm only like 5'2", and my wife is almost 5'10".
Okay.
Okay? I need someone to reach the top shelf.
It works.
And she is creative one way. I'm creative in a different way. I always kind of went with someone who's just like me. And it's kind of interesting to be with someone. We just celebrated like 13 years. But she is the one that kind of just thinks this stuff is amazing. And I kind of get it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just put up some pictures for now, and then I'm going to take this off. I want to bring there's a table over there. I want to bring that up here.
Okay.
All right? So let me put up some pictures, and we'll be right back to talk to you. And we're back. And obviously I'm the short one. So I can kind of hide mine. What you're looking at is just another piece of wood. What kind of wood is this? Do you know?
This is mesquite.
I can use it in my barbecue?
That's right.
Okay. And again, when I say you didn't do anything to this wood, besides, for lack of a better word, and I'm not going to get it right, kind of cure it to be able to use.
It's kiln dried.
Okay.
So you have to keep it at a certain moisture level.
Right.
So that it's not going to warp on you. And this is a small river table. And what you do is take a whole slab and you clean out all the punky parts, the bark, anything that's soft. And I would fill those spots with some epoxy. And then you cut the slab down the middle and you put the straight edge, which is the cut, on the outside, and the part where the bark would be is on the inside. And this light colored wood is called the sapwood, which is closest to the bark. And that kind of, the rough edges of that kind of gives you that river look. And you fill the inside with epoxy.
So this is not one piece, then?
Yeah, it is one piece. That's been cut in half.
That's been cut?
Yeah.
And then put back together?
Yeah, so I turned the bark sides to the inside.
Okay.
So the bark side meets the epoxy.
Oh, okay.
And the center is the edge.
Okay, so here's what you guys don't see that I just noticed. When you ran your hand, this black or whatever color it is,
A little transparent.
it's transparent.
Yeah.
I thought it was part of the wood.
No,
But it is.
that's
So,
the epoxy.
so you cut this and then you made it fit together with the epoxy in the center.
Yeah.
And it's also probably one of the most usable pieces that anybody could kind of
It's
purchase.
functional art.
Okay, so let's see if we can stand it up, just so people can see the legs. So So this is really just an amazing table.
Thank you.
That's just beautiful. But it also is very, very usable. So if you're looking for something that's usable, workable, this is what you want to go with. Let's lay it back down again.
Okay.
Okay, so how do people find you? I got it.
My website is www.nevaehcreates.com. That's got a 3-page bio and intro about the company. My Facebook page is also Nevaeh Creates.
And that's where I found you. That's where you can find great, beautiful pictures.
You find, as I make new products, I post them on Facebook. So that's the most current information is the Facebook page.
Michelle, I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
You got some amazing, beautiful stuff.
Thank you.
Everybody,
I appreciate it.
Check her out. Go to Facebook. If you don't remember, just think of heaven backwards, and you'll surely find Michelle. Everybody have a great day, and we'll be right back.